everybody. Let's join each other in a nice, calm mountain pose. Shoulders down and back. Do that again, that felt so good. Now let's just gently maybe turn your palms a little bit towards the front. Soft knees. And let's pay attention to our breathing. Close your eyes if that feels good. Stay here for a couple minutes as we warm up with our breath. So in through your nose and out through your nose. As we inhale, fill those lungs up so your chest rises a little. And then as you exhale, relax it down. Just feel that breath coming in and out. If you want, you can rock back, forward and back a little bit to find that nice neutral position. Be careful to keep your eyes closed. And then you can go side to side if that's something you're interested in. Continuing your breath, pay attention to our feet, wiggle your toes, and then think about your foot. We all have different foot structure. Continuing your breath, as you pay attention to those feet, relax your kneecaps, your knees. I have high arches, so I can feel that little bit of space under my arches. Maybe you have more flat feet. And now I want you to push your toes into the floor, scrunch them up, push them into the floor, and see if that arch lifts a little bit, and then relax your foot. Just do that a few more times. So press your toes in, like you're gripping the mat, and then relax. So inhale, grip your toes. Exhale, release your toes. Inhale, grip your toes. And exhale and release. Now this time as you do that, I want you to see how far up your leg you feel that movement of gripping your toe. You might feel it to your knees. You might feel the movement all the way up into your hips. And you may even feel it in your lower abdominals. Just see where that toe grip, which should lift your arch, up to your knees, up to your hips, and your lower abdominals. Good. When you're ready, let's open our eyes. Start a nice gentle hand movement. Arms up and down to our chest, and inhale up and down to our chest. Exhale, inhaling and exhaling, and one more. Really feel those lungs and then blow it all the way out. Nice. All right, we're going to turn our feet towards the corners of the mat. Make them a little bit further apart than our hips. And we're going to bring those arms up. And now we're going to bring those elbows down to our side as we bend our knees. Inhaling. And down. Inhaling. Down. One more. Good. Now you can leave your feet here. You can turn them a little bit more towards the front of that. Bring those hands down. Or of a hinge from the hips here and up. And exhale. Now go at your own speed. You do not have to go the same speed we are. And then down to our chest. Good. Now we're going to come to the short end of the mat. I'm not going to go all the way to the short end so you can see me. Right? And we're going to work on our chair pose. So find that good distance apart with your feet, hip distance, whatever feels comfortable for you for your feet as we work into our chair pose. We're going to inhale those arms up and then down to the side. Now I'm going to modify as I go down. I'm going to stop here first. Inhale. I'm going to go a little further each time, trying to get a neutral spine. Bending those knees as I try to reach further towards the floor each time. Using those abs. Inhale, lift. One more. Here we go. Hands on the floor. And let's carefully take ourselves down to the mat and get ourselves in tabletop position. And our shoulders are over our wrists and our fingers are relaxed but spread. And our knees are underneath our hips. And we're going to go on into the spinal balance after we do cat and cow. Let's cat and cow first. So inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Release those abs. Rounding that back. Exhaling. Think about a real relaxation here on that cow. Just let it all hang. Remember, if you need to, you can double your mat or your wrists. Or you can move into a fist. Last one, inhale and exhale, good. Now you can modify the wrists as you need to. You can change it during the middle of the move if it starts to hurt, so do whatever you need to do here. All right, we're gonna go into spinal balance. I'm gonna bring my knees in just a little tiny bit. That helps to balance, more of a tripod. And I'm gonna reach that foot back. And I'm gonna bring that knee in, and I'm gonna reach that other foot back. And now I'm going to add an arm if I want to. It's going to be an alternating arm, flexed foot, and I have a nice long neutral spine. So I'm looking about here. If you're close to the end of your mat, you might be looking at the end of your mat. Really think about that energy coming out of those fingers and the top of your head. And that heel pressing back towards the floor. Here we go, one more. Each side. Here we go, the last one. Good. And now we're going to bring it down to a child's pose. Whatever that is for you. Maybe you have your shoulders outstretched. Maybe you have your fists stacked. Whatever feels good. Let's reach those arms out if you're not already out. And we're going to inhale, and we're going to come up into our first downward dog. And if you don't like downward dog, that's fine. You can stay in child's pose. You can do any modification that feels good for you here. We're going to pedal our heels. Now remember, if you have tight muscles on the backs of your legs, you are going to need to keep your knees bent to get that nice V. Inhale, exhale. And let's come on down to child's pose. And we're going to start our little flow here. So we're going to inhale, modified plank, halfway, modified crocodile, modified plank, back to child's. Now, do this at your own pace. Do as many as feels good for you. And if you're having knee problems, if this hurts your knees, feel free to double that mat down underneath your knees. Some people like to have a towel or an extra cushion under their knees. And we're going to do one more. And exhale halfway down, inhale up, and let's go into down dog. Now we're going to eventually get back up onto our feet here, so I'm actually going to bring my right foot forward, and I'm going to modify that foot, get it where I need it. And I'm going to drop that bottom knee, uncurl my foot, and very carefully, you can support here. Let's come on up. Take a breath or two. Good, and then I'm going to put my hands back down, curl my toe under, and bring that foot up next to the other foot. And reverse swan dive up. And down to mountain pose. Let's stay here for a moment. And find your breath if you lost it. Obviously you didn't really lose it, but your focus on your breath. Bring your attention back to your breathing here. Good. We're going to do a reverse swan dive, and we're going to bring the opposite leg back. Here we go. And I'm going to put my knee down. I'm going to push those toes into the mat. And I'm going to bring my hands up. Now, you may leave your hands here. That's fine. Good. And let's bring that leg back. Child's pose. All right. And now you can do modified or full plank. And we're going to go all the way down to the floor. So it's the same flow. I'll do it modified first. Inhale. Exhale all the way down. Inhale. Just raise your chest up off the mat. Tuck my toes if you're going for full plank or back to modified. And back. And we're going to do this a few more times. So work where you are today. All the way down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Now you can bring it back to downward dog or child's pose. So this time I'm going to bring it all the way down, chest up, and I'm going to bring it back to downward dog. And now I'm going to take my right leg up, and I'm going to bring it back down. You can go to child's pose or one more time through here. Modified down to the floor. Chest up. Child's pose or downward dog. And I'm going to let that left leg float up or opposite leg. Bring it down and into child's pose. Good. Now I want you to walk your hands over to one side of the mat. Get a nice stretch down the side of that body. Breathing. And when you're ready, walk those hands over to the other side. Good. And when you're ready, back to the middle. Up to downward dog. And walk, jump, or step your way up to the front of your mat. And reverse swan dive up. And our hands down to our chest. Hopefully you're nice and warm now. We're going to do our standing lateral flexion. So we're going to have one hand supporting on our hip if you want. And we're going to reach our other arm up. And we're going to reach those fingertips up to the sky and push down through the foot on the same side. And I'm going to reach up. And as I breathe, maybe I'll sink a little low, or maybe I won't, depending on how my back's feeling this evening. If you want a little more work, you can glance up at that hand.
Good, and let's switch sides. So I'm supporting here, and I'm reaching up. And your palm, it doesn't matter too much where your palm is. You can have it facing forward, or you can have it facing the side of your body, over your head. Reaching up, getting lots of air into that side. Last breath. Good. Let's bring those hands around the back. And now if you have your strap hand, you can grab your strap, or you can interlace your fingers, or you can just reach around and grab them. And opening your chest and pulling those shoulders back, soft knees, just open that chest up to the front of the room. Breathing. Try to raise your hands if you can. You may get your hands up a lot higher than I can because I'm very tight through my shoulders. Nice, let's relax that down. All right, we're gonna get into our warrior series now. So we're at the top of our mat. And we're gonna step back. I'm gonna step with my right foot. As long as you're keeping track of your leg, we're all good. Hips are facing forward, knees over my ankle. So you may find you have very different positionings because of your flexibility. It's very tight down the back of my leg. Hands can be here, 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 wherever you want. If you want a little more challenge, you can look up at the corner of where the ceiling meets the wall, and let's breathe. Pressing all of those feet into the floor and reaching those hands if you have them up. Sink a little lower if you can. And one more breath. Good. Let's bring those hands down to our side, and then we're going to turn that back foot towards the front of the mat. The toes are facing the front. My front foot, my knees are over my ankle, and I have my hips opened. Now find that spot where they're neutral, and then let's reach. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's check in with that back hand, make sure that it's reaching and it's not down here or up here. Unless that's where you want it to be, that's fine too. And let's gaze out over those front fingers. And sink a little bit if you're able, keeping those hips open. Check in with that knee, make sure it's not folding inward. And sinking a little lower with the next exhalation. Nice. Good, and let's straighten that front leg just for a moment to give us a break. Let's bring our hands up to our heart. And let's bring those hands back out. And now we're gonna bring that knee back over that ankle, and we're gonna put the forearm above on our thigh. And then we're gonna reach that arm up toward the ceiling. So my chest is all open. You could probably not actually, but think about putting your back against the glass or a wall. And see if you feel like you would be enough in alignment to do that. Reaching that arm up. Now if you want a little more challenge, you can look up at that hand. Good. And let's bring it back up to Warrior Two. Take a breath. And we're going to go into triangle pose. So we're going to reach, straighten the front leg, not lock, but straighten, and then reach down. Now you could have a block here if you could reach further than I can at the moment. Our eventual aim And now you let those hips relax, okay? They don't need to stay in alignment in this position. And you can look up at that hand if you want a little more of a challenge. Good, and when you're ready, you can bend that knee a little and support yourself back up. Good job. Now let's turn that front foot towards the front edge of the long edge of the mat. All right, and now we're gonna soft knees here, and we're gonna hinge for the hips, and we're gonna come on down. Now you can have your block here. All right, and if you need to, you can take your feet a little wider apart so you get your hands down. You could be on the fingertips, and then just relax with soft knees. You don't have to get your hands down. But do try to relax your shoulders and your knees. In every exhalation, see if you can go a little further. Good. Now let's come back up to a neutral spine. And then leaning a little back into our heels. Let's bend one knee. Inhale in the middle. Exhale to the other side. And again, depending on your flexibility, you may be able to go a long way down. Or you may only be able to go a couple inches. And one more each side. Exhaling on the side. Inhaling in the middle. Exhaling in the side. And back to the middle. And now just relax and let your head come to where it's comfortable for you. Good. And let's lift back up and we can walk those feet in. And then reverse swan dive up. Woo, be careful with that blood pressure right there. Nice. All right, let's go back to the front end of the mat. Now I'm going to turn around so you can see me going the other direction. And so I'm still facing you, but don't be confused. Make sure you're doing your other side. So we're going to step our, let me get out of the sunlight. A little bit here. Our left foot back, and warrior one, wherever that is for you. Making sure your hips and your front foot are facing forward. Bring your hands up, and you can leave them here, or you can bring them into heart center. And exhaling, go a little bit deeper when you exhale. Feeling that nice elongation through that back leg. Good, now let's turn the back foot forward. So it's facing the long end of the mat. Front foot, toes are facing the short end of the mat. Let's find that neutral hip. Knees over the ankle. And let's reach. Check in with the back arm. Looks good. Nobody chasing us. And then let's look over the front arm. Pulling those hands apart. Let's get all of the surface to your foot except for your arch onto the mat and grounding. Feel nice and strong here. This is why it's a warrior one pose. And let's bring that front knee straight just for a second. And let's bend it back, just giving ourselves a little break here. Bring that forearm down onto your thigh and reaching up. And again, this is where we want to think of being in a narrow hallway, or maybe even with our back on a wall. Two-dimensional here. And you can look up at that hand if you're feeling the balance this evening. Inhaling and exhaling. And relax that lower shoulder. Good. Go a little deeper if you can by bending that front knee a little more, reaching that arm up, opening that chest. Good. And let's bring it back up just for a second. Good. And we're going to reach those arms from Warrior Two out, lengthening our head, relaxing those hips. Now you can have your hand reaching opposite in a straight line. Reaching that top hand, straight through that shoulder. We'd like to be able to get down into a nice straight line eventually, but that's why we call it yoga practice, is we're practicing our positions. We're not expected to have them from day one. Breathing. Now, you can also put your hand on your lower back. That actually feels really good. Keeping that chest open though. So that's another arm option here. Good, and let's carefully bend that knee, support ourselves and bring ourselves up. And now we're gonna go to the short end of our mat. You can take many steps or one big step. And let's relax in mountains. I'm gonna turn around a little bit. Good. All right, I'm gonna turn so you can see me. And we've been working on this twist. So let's just go over this move. We're gonna inhale, bringing our hands in. Now we're gonna go into a chair pose. Now, options are you can take that knee to outside your elbow to the outside of that knee, or for the modification to start with, we can go here. One hand on our hip, other hand on our knee, and opening that chest to the side. So go wherever's comfortable for you. I'm gonna bring it on down to the twist, the full twist, for the last couple breaths here. Opening my chest to the side wall. And I'm gonna bring it back to center. And then I'm gonna reverse swan dive up. And I'm gonna bring my hands here. I'm gonna catch my breath and my balance. And here's the modification. We're gonna go into chair, one hand on our hip. We have our knees pretty bent here. We're in chair pose. Now if you want, you can bring it all the way down, elbow outside our knee. And keeping those knees parallel. Good. And bring it back down to the middle. Reverse swan dive up. And bring those hands down. Good. And we're going to do our tree pose here. This is when you all get to laugh at me, because I'm not very good at tree pose. We're going to open that leg out to the side, even hips. Bring our hands up and down to heart center. Now, if you can, get the foot higher. You can bring it up to here or all the way above your knee. Not put pressure on that knee from the side. It's not healthy for your knee. Don't look at me because I'm wobbling. Look at something straight ahead that's not moving. And breathing. You'd like to open your arms up into a wide V above your head. That would be great. Heart center is always a wonderful position. Relaxing those shoulders down and back no matter where you are. your hands back to heart center if they're up. And let's bring that foot down. And rebalance yourself. And then let's do the other side. Bringing that ankle, the heel onto the ankle. You can bring it above. It's a nice resting spot here with the arch of your foot and your calf. All right, you can bring it above your knee if you would like. And then if you want to, you can add that arm V. Relaxing those shoulders. But not your whole body. Keep it nice and strong. Lifting your head toward the ceiling. And let's bring those hands back in. And good, let's bring that leg down. Well done, everyone. All right, so let's make our way to the floor. I'm gonna turn off the reminder and I will see you on the mat in 1 second. So take your time, coming down. You might need to adjust your camera, so don't forget. All right, we're gonna come into our straddle position this evening. So you might need a cushion under your hips. Just find that spot that's comfortable for you. Get both sits bones down. And I can feel it in my little lower back a little bit, so I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna sit up tall, relax shoulders, and I'm gonna press from behind. A little bit of that hinge from the hips. Now, if you're feeling great, you could also be here. Or if you're nice and flexible, you could be here. And this is more of a pulling with your hands, whereas this is more of a push, and I like to push a little bit better. So I'm pushing into my hips to help stretch. Shoulders are relaxed. Just breathing and trying to push a little harder each time to go just a little further comfortably. And when you're ready, we're going to bring the soles of those feet together. And remember, they can be here, you can be here, you can be out here, whatever works for you. If you need some pillows, you can put them here. And I'm just going to sit up very tall. And then maybe move my feet in a little as I feel my hips releasing. And if you want, you can hinge from those hips, nice flat back, maybe put those elbows on your knees. Couple more breaths here, and I'm pulling my shoulders down and back here as well. Good. And then I'm going to reach my feet forward. And we have a couple options here. We can do this one where it's just very basic. And here's the stretch. You bring the arm around and you can hug that knee in without pulling it all the way over. Nice, keep the hips down. Now, if you're a little more advanced and you know you can do it, you can put this foot outside this knee. That's fine too. Just make sure you're sitting very tall. So we're lengthening up through our spine, keeping both hips on the floor, and then we can look over that shoulder. Good, and let's bring that back to center. If you're crossed over, let's uncross. Get both those hips back down. And again, you might just be here, and that's fine. Right? Opening that chest to the side wall. And again, if you're used to doing the leg across, it's a little bit more challenging. You have to be very careful to sit up tall here. looking over that shoulder. Nice job. All right. And let's come on down to the floor. And we're going to bring those knees up into our chest when you get there. Just relaxed. They can be open a little bit. About a 6-inch gap between my knees here, and trying to relax those shoulders down. Maybe rock it back and forth a little bit. Good, and let's bring those legs down. Now remember, we have this move. We're going to do one more move here. You can have your legs down. In this case, you're going to lift your hips and take about 1 inch to my left. Right leg is straight. Reaching those arms out and letting that knee tip over. Now, if that's not comfortable, you can do the double knee. Again, about 1 inch to the left, and then let those knees fall over. And you may need a pillow here, or you may need to, at first, kind of hold the position until everything relaxes, and then you can sink further into it. And if your knees are to your right, you're going to look to your left. And let's bring our head back to center before we take our knees back up and realign our hips. And then again, if you went to opposite directions, I'm going to take my hips to the right about 1 inch and then let them fall to the left. And I'm going to look to my right. And when you're ready, you're going to bring those knees back up and realign your spine. Bring your hands down a little bit closer to your hips, palms up. And you can have your legs straight or bent, whichever you prefer. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes. Take our focus back to our breath, trying to make the timing of your breath further and further apart. Taking deep breaths in, deep breath out, and now just breathe comfortably. Relaxing your face.